I apologize from my end for being a little late getting here. I had to take care of just a hair of business with one of our other guests that's from National that's speaking on fundraising. So I had to get him into his courses, and I am now here. So welcome to Specialty Track. We're going to talk a little bit about what's so special about them. So first thing I'm going to do is I am actually going to leave that as a question and see if anybody's got an answer for me on this. So what's so special about specialty tracks? Okay, Lieutenant Colonel Hiles, go ahead and answer for me, sir.
All right, so I learned this the hard way when I was stuck at captain for a long time. A specialty track is essentially the checklist for how you advance in a rating.
That's a good way of putting it. Anybody else got an answer to that they want to throw out there of what makes them so special? Okay.
One thing crosses my mind, Wiley, is this is Greg Soder. Quite often in life, we do things in a mediocre fashion if we don't focus, and a specialty track has a tendency to get you focused on some specific area of CAP, and therefore, presumably, you might do it better.
Yes, exactly, correct. Exactly. That's another, those both are great answers. And the thing with specialty tracks that continuously seems to sometimes get us in trouble is we forget that ground team members, air crew members, pilots still need a specialty track. Regardless of how well we're doing with someone on all of their stuff on that end, the mission quals and the getting up to the proper levels with all their different air crew ratings and pilot ratings, incident commander, all of those. There's still the specialty track. And the specialty track is there for a reason. I'm going to share a page here with you real quickly from the national website. Okay, can everybody see that? That is from the national website, starting with P200, goes down through P65-2.
I see nothing.
Yeah, Brady, we see your
okay.
face.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Okay, now it should be popping up. Hopefully everybody can see that. But those are specialty tracks, and you've got such things as personnel, public affairs, finance, admin, logistics, communications, legal, the various aspects of the chaplain's corps, command, recruiting and retention and keeping people in CAP, the information technologies.
Wiley,
Okay.
Wiley, we're not seeing a visual.
Okay, I figured you weren't. That's why I was just reading off the names of some of them there. If you couldn't see them. The thing there is that some of those I read off, like admin, personnel, your public affairs officer, your logistics, a communications officer, chaplains, CDIs, aerospace. Those are interesting in some respects because that group of specialty tracks and why specialty tracks are separated out from the mission qualifications and the others. Part of that has to do with parts of the other sections that have to be done to make the mission of CAP and a squadron operate. If you didn't have personnel officer, nobody gets promoted. Specialty tracks to see if people are meeting the requirements aren't tracked. There's a lot of stuff in that one. Admin, there's a lot of areas in there that Major Holmes can tell you. They don't get tracked. They don't get kept up with. The professional development, if you don't have somebody like that in your squadron, it doesn't get kept up with. Those are what gets the day-to-day operations of the squadron accomplished. Now, we can all sit here and we can say that all of that is happening within the squadron. The question is, and this is one of them, and Colonel Hess mentioned one of the statistics earlier, but I'm going to mention another, and that is over half of the wing. So approximately 160 members may have been doing a job in the wing for 2, even 3 years, but they've never been signed off in the specialty track. And where this is becomes more and more something for us to watch is as we're working on getting those folks through level 2, they have to have, and it was that way under the old system as well, they have to have the tech rating. Now, I'm going to say it like I'm sure Major Holmes would agree with me and nod, and he'll probably even chime in if I give him the opportunity to say that for the most part, with the specialty tracks is, 3-4 years, they've never been signed off to a tech rating, and getting those folks right so that they get promoted is very much the same way as it is with keeping track of all the stuff on the mission qualification side of the house as well. It's kind of reached around and got us, because now with getting those promotions to folks and getting them up to that first lieutenant mark with that tech rating is most every specialty track in CAP only takes 6 months to get signed off with a tech rating. Some of them I would say might take a little more depending upon how much training and how much mentoring the individual could get, but probably most of them shouldn't take us more than 8 to put somebody through. That says that the tech rating says you understand the specialty track you're in. You understand the basic concepts of that specialty track. You understand more or less what needs to be done to make that specialty track work. It doesn't mean that you're resident expert. That's why there's the technical rating, the senior rating, and the master rating. And you can even talk to some folks who do have master ratings. They're going to tell you, I don't have all the answers on this, but I know my regulations well enough to know which regulation I can go find, and I can look this up and I can show it to you so that you are able to see it. And we sat down and we go through it together and going, okay, maybe you were mentoring. Did we do it that way? You double check in yourself to make sure you did it by the regulations. With going into the gocap.gov, if you go in and you go under members, the publications library is there. There is either a pamphlet, in some cases there's a regulation, for every single specialty track. There are also, in most all of those, there's the checklist of what you need to know to be able to be signed off to the technical level. If we're doing things right, and this Colonel Hess mentioned this, and it's been mentioned a few times, if we're doing things right, somebody hopefully in the squadron already has the job in that specialty track. That means you should be coming in, if you're new into this, and have yourself a chance to go in as an assistant and learn under that individual, hoping that at some point in time, that individual says, you know, I'd like to move on and do something else in CAP for a while, or maybe just decides, you know, I'm just going to kind of step back and be this. I'm here, I'll help, I can do this, I can do that for Civil Air Patrol. But I'm kind of here that if you ask me to be a mentor for somebody in that specialty track, yeah, I could help mentor in that specialty track, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're working full-time, as shall we say, for CAP as a volunteer in that specialty track. They're letting you take over the specialty track and letting you continue your progression. That's the way it's supposed to work, so that people can manage to get their promotions because they need to have a certain position to meet the requirement of a specialty track. It's like when you get to senior rating, those type things in operation, you've got to have a position at the wing level. That means somebody up there hopefully has moved on up the chain into positions within operations so that you can move into those vacated positions to meet your requirements. It's the same way with any of those positions up there. Sooner or later, somebody needs to be able to look at how long they've been up there and say, you know, there's probably somebody down there that needs a wing staff position in order to get promoted. Maybe it's time that I stepped back down into an assistant role and let them have a role as the actual director. Those are things we look at. But the biggest thing, to me, the biggest thing we miss is we seem to continuously be missing the fact that we're not catching up with folks that we know are filling and they're doing certain things in certain specialty tracks and making sure that we're getting them signed off. And that sometimes it's the member knowing and looking at that regulation to see, you know, maybe I should be getting promoted. Maybe I should be getting signed off on this specialty track. I've been doing it long enough. And if you go into do a member search on e-services and you go in and you look at your own electronic record on there, it'll tell you when you were assigned to the specialty track, so you can start figuring out, so how long have I been in the specialty track? And if the squadron isn't reaching out to you to get you moved forward in the specialty track, chances are you need to be able to sit down, pull aside a commander, pull aside a squadron personnel officer, squadron admin officer, professional development officer, maybe all three of us. It just depends on who you can catch up with. Some of us are filling more than one set of shoes anyway, and say, I want to check on getting signed off on my tech rating. And we'll pull it up and we'll look at it. And if it looks like it's something and we've got all the right people in line to sign and check it off, we'll get that checked off. I have gone through and double checked a few things on folks to see if they met requirements for specialty track, and we signed off the specialty track. Doing one of the specialty track ones for Major Holmes, he actually called me up on the phone and we ran through each and every item on the checklist, and he verbally explained what needed to be done for the answers for each and every one of those. And I, at the end, turned around and said, yeah, you've answered all the questions and you filled it in, and I can say that I can dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and we put in his specialty track one. If somebody does call me to help on one of those and I can't find somebody that's in the specialty track to get it signed off to help me, that's the first thing I'm going to do, is probably run you through the specialty track checklist and get you signed off. Or I'm going to say, do me a favor, sit down and answer all those questions in a little 1 paragraph, 2 paragraph answer to all the questions in your checklist. And that, or provide me with the fact that I can double check the dates for dates of completions of certain things if need be, and send it to me. Then I'm going to find somebody that's got that specialty track with a senior rating. If you're working on your tech rating, send it over to them and say, here's their answers to the checklist, and send them a copy of the checklist as well, and say, okay, you've got a copy of the checklist, you've got their answers to it, go through it and see if those answers they gave you answer the questions. If you need to, contact the individual. If you feel like they have met the requirement, get back with me so we can get that put into the system to say, yeah, they meet the specialty track requirement for technical rating, and we move on. That would be the same way for senior, would be the same way for master. Just from my own standpoint, that's one way to do it. Tom Hopkins, for my senior rating in aerospace, that's how we did mine during COVID. He said, take your checklist and answer me all the questions and send me a deal. I'll double check it over. If those answer the questions and you send me the checklist with the dates in certain places to show when you completed certain date requirements and we'll get it signed off. That was how we did it. So if you find yourself stuck, that's one way to undo the traffic jam, the log jam, whatever you want to call it, to get yourself signed off on specialty tracks, and we get rid of this humongous number of individuals that probably have been doing the job in their squadrons, but they've never been signed off and never been given their specialty track rating. And we're sitting here going, gee, I thought this person probably had a senior rating in that specialty track, but no, because nobody's ever signed it off. And you have to realize that you can't sign off tech today and sign off senior tomorrow. There's that time progression that the computer system looks at, says, okay, it takes you 6 months to make tech. After signing it off to tech, you need an additional year before you can be signed off as senior rating. Okay, so somebody's been in the specialty track, let's say, and I've looked at records for, let's say, 3 years. Okay, all of a sudden you sign them off for the specialty track, and by the time you actually get them to senior that they need for lots of them for promotion to captain, they've been in the specialty track for 4 years. Kind of slows up in traffic jams. Part of, gee whiz, haven't got people promoted. And if we're not careful in that, we're going to find ourselves with a whole bunch of second lieutenants, maybe captains, and a lot of those are going to be captains that qualified to be captains from professional standpoint. Pilot area, like myself, happen to have enough of a degree to get qualified as a captain in aerospace because of college education and background. And we don't have, all of a sudden, we're not going to have many majors. We're going to be short on lieutenant colonels, and we're going to look excessively bottom heavy. And I don't want to see us get into this deal of looking bottom heavy on promotion simply because we didn't get people progressing through the system. It goes back to the specialty tracks along with the level 1 through level 5s. They all fall together. They are actually interrelated, and you can't separate them, and we shouldn't be separating them as two completely separate entities. They're all part of the big picture of a well-educated, well-rounded CAP member that can go in and complete the CAP mission that needs to be done for squadron, maybe at the wing level if they happen to get into a wing position, like I did myself, and that was in a wing position, had about 18 months in total in CAP, and that does and that can happen. So when you do all of that and you look at all of it together, it all runs together. And we don't want to get into a habit of thinking that they don't interface. We want to think that they do interface and they give us the kind of member that he's productive, he's having or he's creating his own fun within CAP because he feels useful. And all of those and all of that is something that we're hoping that's happening with people. We're hoping people really are looking at that and saying, you know, this all does make sense. I see why it all of the training, that education and training is asking us to do in the new system, why it works the way it works, and that it's a functional system. It does what it's supposed to do, which is ensures that people know the whole spectrum of CAP when doing their job. The better educated we are, the easier it becomes to do the job. The more we find out, hey, you know, I got this responsibility to do this in the squadron, and gee, if I can contact so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and we can kind of create a committee to do this, it's a whole lot easier than trying to do it as a one-man show. Believe me, there's no way I could have even began to put anything of this conference together if I hadn't have been looking for folks that had background knowledge and training to help make it run. If we don't have people up and the proper thing on the specialty tracks, we don't know who to look for. We don't know who to look and say, I know this person's qualified. I know this person knows how to do the job the way it needs to be done. Granted, I've only taken, and we've still got about a half hour here with this, but I'm going to turn this over and ask Major Holmes if he's got anything on the specialty track inside that he wants to add to this. And also, I'm turning the floor over to you, Major Holmes. Major Holmes, did I lose you? Has anybody else just got at this point, any general input they'd like to put in of things they're aware of and know from the specialty track standpoint and what they feel?
Hey, Lieutenant Colonel Weisman here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
What I was gonna mention is I recommend for folks to, they can pick 2 if they'd like, or 3, but I don't recommend more than 3 at a time, because, for example, if you're working logistics and cadet programs or aerospace and cadet programs, those sometimes are compatible, so you can work on the same time. Or if you completed your technician and working on your senior, you may want to start a second one, but really focus on try not to do too many at once, but there's nothing wrong with doing more than 1 at a time.
True, sir. Very true.
I have a suggestion. This is Lieutenant Colonel Fife. We have a lot of squadrons that have people with limited ability to mentor. I remember when I was working on my safety specialty track, finding a master rated safety officer was a trick. And if we had some sort of resource at the wing level of people who are willing to mentor and sign off for each specialty track, that would be a really useful resource for the squadrons to have.
Sure
That
would.
the data I think you're looking for, Colonel Fife, it is available. I have the ability to pull down every specialty track and who has tech ratings, who has senior ratings, and who has master ratings
Sure.
from the wing level. That can be forwarded.
But I'm suggesting something a little different. I mean, it's nice to know that someone has, say, a master rating in aerospace that they earned in 1940. But I'm more interested in a list of people who are actually willing to mentor for different specialty tracks. Not
I
not
see what you're saying. Yes.
yet not everyone who has a rating has the time or the interest in working with people from other squadrons
Hmm.
or even their own squadron sometimes. And
Okay.
so a resource of those who are willing to mentor, I think, would be a very useful resource.
We may be able to look at a way. I'd have to get with Lieutenant Dyke on that one, but there may be a way to put a survey / shall we say deal in the wing website that people can go in and they and fill it in. I just have to kind of in my head right now, I'm just thinking of it as a big picture. But you're right, sort of that could be done. That could be put in so that folks could go in and put in their that they're willing to be a mentor.
Or
they're willing.
alternate. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking, or alternately, a way for people who need a mentor to contact the wing professional development officer or director of professional development, and he would have the ability to send out an email to those who have ratings to see if any of them are interested or willing.
Sure.
We could do it that way too. That would work. We could put one out there if you need a mentor because you don't have one in your squadron or have someone like you said who just don't have someone that has the time to mentor.
Colonel Hiles, did you have a comment, sir?
Yes, I wanted to say we did this for Illinois Wing. It's assuming you don't want to use the national mentoring program, which you may want to go with local people. So it's pretty simple. I just created a Google form, had a list of all the specialty tracks saying, I want to mentor in these tracks. And the second question was, I need a mentor for these tracks. I sent that out, and my wife's the director and I'm the assistant. We just keep track of that for the wing. Whenever someone sends an email, we try to match them up with one of the people who said they would mentor.
And I think we also need to proactively send the information out because I suspect a very small percentage of people in the wing who don't know what they're supposed to be doing think to go to the wing website to find anything.
I will agree with you, sir. I'll agree with you completely. I think that is another thing. Some point in time, we've got to first of all tell everybody where the new website is, and they thought they were making it easier in some respects to make it look exactly like the national website. But I've had things I know are on the national website and had it take me a half hour to finally get through to the right pathway to get to it. Sometimes it drives me nuts, but yeah. But I think some way of them being able to notify us in one format or another so that we can find them, we can get them paired up. That is something is one of the areas that I need to add to my list of these are things we really need to concentrate on for the next 6 months, 8 months of this year and get under control as part of the upcoming year so that we can say we got that accomplished and we can cross that off the list at the next wing conference.
Well, could I throw something else on your list before I hush? I think waiting until the next wing conference to connect to the professional development officers will be too late. I think we need a Zoom call at least quarterly where we can all get together and share our shall we say challenges and suggestions.
Yeah.
That is kind of on my list as part of the prep one is to have some quarterly meetings where I can get a group of folks together and we can discuss and we can talk about, okay, these are things we're seeing and these are things we need to find answers for and do like we're doing right now, setting down and trying to build a platform that we can work off of to kind of resolve this specialty track problem. And I like what I'm hearing from you guys. So this is turning into a really good conversation. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, Brady, I've got a tricky question, and I'd like to open up to some of these more senior and smarter guys. And oh, there's a hand up, and I don't know if that's if MR wants to make a comment on the last topic or not. Go ahead, MR.
I'll wait. It's on a different topic, so I'll keep my hand up, but it'll be after you're done.
Oh, I'll quickly explain. Some specialty tracks require service at the wing in a position to be able to qualify for your senior rating. For example, operations. For the senior rating, it requires you to serve in a wing position for a period of a year since getting technician to be able to get your senior. What do we do when the wing says we've got too many people serving in ops, too many assistants, we just can't take on another person, and that person's waited a year and there's no sign in sight that there's going to be a loosening of that? Anybody heard of any type of alternate way of being able to do that? Anybody got any creative thinking that we might be able to pursue?
I'm guessing it's wing or above, so you might contact the regional director of operations and see if they have a need.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next too. But yeah, I was thinking, gosh, do they ever waive it in, or is there some alternate type of service, especially like if the person's been serving in operations and doing significant things for the wing for a extended period of time for more than a year, whether they would say, yeah, that kind of qualifies. But yeah, I think I'll have to bounce it up to the region and then probably to national. Thank you very much. MR, please go ahead.
Very good. I've only been with CAP for about a year and a half, and I like the SQTR system, and I like it for even for these new things like the level 1, level 2, level 3, and such. And I wish they had a similar system, an electronic SQTR for things like the specialty tracks. I think that would enhance the promotion through the specialties.
Something inside the e-services system, you mean?
Yeah, well, like the regular SQTR for this session right now. For level 3, I have to have 2 conferences. So I can go in and submit those, and they're electronically recorded. And I would like to see a similar system for specialty tracks.
Something you're talking specialty tracks with the same input system basically as the QRT for mission quals. I'll agree with you. I'd love to see that.
Okay.
As soon as they finish any aspect of that checklist for a certain level, you can put the dates in, and that when all the dates are filled, that thing's got a deal at the end of it. When all the blocks are filled, it auto kicks that up to a commander and says, hey, all the blocks are filled. Double check it and sign it off. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that would be a fantastic change to getting part of the log jam resolved.
Thank you very much. Major Peterson, did you have a comment or question, sir? You're on mute, sir. You appear to not be on mute, but we still can't hear you, sir. I heard something there.
Okay, just plugged in my mic again.
There you are.
Yeah, there we go. Got you, sir. And we lost you again. Sorry, Carl. Major Peterson, we're not getting any sound at all, sir.
Yeah, there you are. I can see your face now.
Yeah, but we're not getting audio. Can anybody hear the audio?
I can't hear his audio. I can't hear his mic. It's not picking up.
No.
Nothing, sir.
Hey, Carl, check your mic again, input again. It looks like
What?
sometimes when you jiggle it, we can hear you, but that's about it.
How about now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you now. You might want to hang on to that thing.
Okay, it comes back to the professional development officer.
Carl, we lost you again. We're not hearing anything. No, sir. So sorry, but we're not hearing a thing.
How about now?
Yes, we're hearing it.
Okay, I think it comes back to the professional development officer because he has the ability to sign off on the checklists and forward them to the commander for approval for each of those specialties at any level. And the other thing is, unless the regs have changed in a big way, you might want to read them more carefully because I don't think any of them mandate service at the wing level. You can serve at the squadron level for most things through master. At least that's my recollection.
Operations is one that specifically says it. That's 211. You might want to check it.
Okay.
Yeah, I hated it.
Also finance and ES at the master level.
Okay, such being the case, then that's something that needs to go to the professional development officer at the wing if the wing is closing down advancement opportunities for members below.
Roger.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back on mute here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the input. Yeah, I'm thinking I need to go to maybe have a talk with the wing commander and see what his thoughts are. He's been a DO before, so that should be very instructive, I'm sure. Thanks, Major Peterson. MR, did you have another comment or your hand still up?
We've still got about 17 minutes of discussion time here if need be, and it looks like we've got 3 sets of hands up on that. Colonel Rogers, go ahead.
Hi, so this is Colonel Rogers. I'm the Region Chief of Staff. Thank you guys for letting me listen in today. Just wanted to say and follow up, it's not just operations and finance that are limited to higher levels being required to have experience at, like, say, the group or wing level. It's actually starting to cover more and more of the specialty tracks moving forward. And I do strongly encourage for the wing professional development, or ENT now, please reach out to the region ENT section and work with them. If you can't get a hold of Colonel Becker, please let me know and I'll make sure that works. But that is starting to become a more hands-on process. And I know for the region, we are trying to post availability for vacancies for new jobs that are coming up, both as primary and as assistants. So if you check the wing website, we just released the new website about a month ago, and we are trying to stay on top of that. There's currently one position up on there for plans, and we might have a couple of other positions opening up here in the near future, but that's something to keep an eye on. And again, for education and training, if you do need that support, please reach out to the region and we'll be happy to help.
Colonel, have you had the instance where at your level where there just were not positions that could be open to somebody who needed that for their rating, their specialty rating to advance? Have you had to deal with that type of a decision, and kind of, is there any alternate way of doing it?
In what regard? Like an assistant position? Or...
Right. Like in this specific case, sir, I've been working in operations for 2 years. I maintain a third of the aircraft in the wing, and involved with every operational exercise, ICP, supporting the DO, but there's just not a position inside of ops at the wing that's available or has been available. And I'm already serving at the wing in a wing position, but it's just not in ops.
Yes and no. So certain jobs we generally do get a lot of, I don't want to call it overstaffing, but there are some positions that are easier to fill than others.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of position dependent,
right?
For which specialty track we're talking.
Ops.
Yeah. Just talking in general. So I've had a couple of positions that we've had a little bit more of a problem to fill because there just really aren't a whole lot of people trained in it. And so it's really position dependent at the region level, at least for when those openings come up.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So there's a couple of options that I'm looking at right now in terms of supporting the wings better on that. But we're not quite ready to release those, and I need to work with ENT and personnel to see what their thoughts are on it. So once that goes, we'll try to work at the region level first, and then with the wing commanders to get their ideas on it before we really roll it out. But we do have some ideas on how to better open some of those opportunities where they may not be there now.
Roger. Thank you, Colonel.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Any other questions or topics related to specialty tracks that we can discuss, maybe brainstorm about?
This is Colonel Hiles. Just to follow up on the last two, Commander Pearson, the regs have changed dramatically. You've got to go check e-services, make sure you have the current version. The specialty tracks are constantly changing. Education training, it's a whole new system, so a lot of that stuff has changed. And sorry, I missed the guy from region. I talked to Colonel A about education training people being able to serve at region, have an account for master. He said no, it's too different. It's the group level and above, that's the up to wing is what you're looking for when it comes at least to the master rating and senior master rating for education training. So some of them, yeah, maybe you could do at region, but there's some specifically that Colonel A said no, you can't. It's not going to be the same intent.
Who were you speaking with specifically?
Colonel A, Director of Education and Training for National.
Okay. Yeah, I do know that a lot of them, I do know, having gone through a lot of the pamphlets on it, that there is not a set recommendation on who we bring up. And I know when I interview people and I look at their qualifications, I don't just look at the specialty track. I also look at what their life experience is, what their work experience is, things like that as well. So I do know that I've seen people come on to region staff with a technician rating, but they know what they're doing and they're able to do it. and they do it very well. So it just depends.
Well, that's not what I was getting at. What I meant was you can't. What Colonel A was saying is you can't take service at region to apply for your track advancement when they meant that to be a wing level position, because it's a different type of, I guess, a different job.
Okay, I'll have to dig into that and talk to education and training, because my understanding is that if somebody works for a region and they're in a position, then it still counts towards their specialty track.
Thank you very much for the exchange.
Sergio, you've had your hand up a couple of times. Now that you know, let's let it come in from a.
Yeah, I'm a very, very brand new team member. I really get very lost in the news, in the system that you have. I didn't know where I was going and what I was doing. I asked the people who were in my squadron, and sometimes feels like they were more confused than I was. So I was digging on all the websites that you have, or the CAP has, and I found it education, training, mentoring, and I asked for a mentor, and I was able to almost even finish my CDI, and I have only enjoyed CAP for less than 3 months. So I will say the mentoring program is working good, and you will find it very easy and go smallpatrol.com under members, under training, under mentoring, and you can ask for a mentor. Other thing I want to probably report is don't work just in one specialty track. Work in multiple ones, and that way you don't feel that you're just stuck in one thing. So I feel, at least personal, that's how I'm feeling. I working on cadet programs, e-services, CDI, IT, and I don't know the other one, but definitely that new access access system works well. Every time that you pass, like what happened to me when I'm doing my special tracks, they put my special tracks in the access, so that is very easy to go at and very easy to digest. Because really, I mean, when I barely started, that was very chaotic and really no directions. But so far, you get a mentor. It's very, very easy to do it.
That's great feedback. Thank you very much, Sergio. Appreciate that. Any other comments or questions that we can discuss?
Yo,
Yes, I'm sorry, Major Peterson, go ahead.
I said corrected. You can do the technician rating at the squadron level, but for senior or master, and especially 211 operations, it has to be at the wing level. So
Okay.
you can do the technician at the squadron level, but then for master or senior, you have to be either the director or an assistant at the wing level. So if wing is blocking people, that's something that needs to be taken up with the wing leadership.
It's a good discussion to be had, and yeah, I think it's valuable to have it. So thank you so much. Thanks for double checking that one. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
And we've got a couple of questions, a couple of hands up, but they're up with folks that already spoke, and I'm not sure if they meant for them to stay up. Does anybody still have a question they'd like to jump in? Please go ahead. Captain Brady, if we're close enough, I think it's your turn to be able to close us out.
I think we can pretty much, we got about 6 minutes is all left before next session. I appreciated the roundtable with everybody. I think that more sometimes happens with the more time we spend in a roundtable, the more stuff happens. We discussed a lot in that period of time. We've come up with some thought processes that may help us alleviate part of the blockage that we have with part of the specialty track stuff. We know where some questions need to be asked to the right set of people in certain places. So I thank all of you for participating. Was a very productive, for me at least, it was very productive in hearing from your side of the house and some thoughts of how we get around this roadblock. And I can guarantee you that there will be opportunities for us getting together and having some more of these type roundtables on specialty tracks, professional development, and general education and training, as we should start calling it now. And I thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of the conference. Matt, if you wish to get a hold of me, I think most of you have got my email. If not, it's wiley.brady@utwg.cap.gov. And if you come up with something and that, or if you just want to find some time to chat with me, send me an email and we'll find a time that we can get together and continue to talk more about the specialty track end of things. So thank you all much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great conference.